So before we get started with this video, unfortunately there is going to be no cold open. I just wanted to say I stand with Sonam Wangchuk and his message of supporting the youth. Right, there is a serious lack of accountability in this country right now, especially in regards to what is happening with the education here. So just wanted to say that I fully support what Sonam Wangchuk is doing, and of course there needs to be some sort of conversation that needs to happen very soon. Hi everyone, welcome to Narain's Life with MS. This is Narain and it's time for a Thoughtful Thursday. And this Thoughtful Thursday, I thought that, it would be very interesting to discuss. It was actually a conversation I had with some of my friends in regards to, so many different alternative therapies that tend to be a hit or miss for a lot of people, right? I mean, there are people who have meditated and gotten completely cured. There are people who have done magnetotherapy and have been completely cured. There have been people who have undergone acupuncture or Ayurveda, and they also have seen some very big benefits. And when I think about where I stand against these people, I mean, I should not compare myself, but when I actually look at it, obviously whatever works for some people does work for it. But the one thing I can definitely gain, or I can definitely see from who actually gets better and who does not, really depends on this system of belief, really. And it's actually very funny to note that I do have some family members who have also gone through magnetotherapy, and they have actually experienced some very big uh, very big improvements, great improvements. And while the improvements were great, and these family members actually had rheumatoid RA, or rheumatoid arthritis, while the benefits were great, after a while the benefits sort of petered out, or pretty much flatlined, which was obviously, and in comparison to me, I did notice some initial benefits, but they were relatively small, and then they also sort of plateaued at that point of time. And that got me thinking that at some point in time there is a little bit of belief that also goes in, right? And sometimes it is that same belief that holds us back from what we can, what our mind can maybe achieve, right? One thing that definitely does tend to happen is when we when there are certain things that we put our mind to, somehow it does end up working out for us. Whereas other times we don't, because we don't completely believe in that messaging, it does not work out for us. And I definitely wanted to talk about that, because I think a lot of especially when I think about meditation, a lot of people do talk about that exact aspect, that because we cannot believe in what we are meditating towards, it might not happen, or it might not be successful. So a lot of times, the reason we are not really achieving what we set out to do with, whichever treatment, therapy, um, activity, or mindfulness that we go in with, we just cannot achieve because we limit ourselves by our own thoughts. And I think there are some great examples of that. I think the one that is definitely like coming up in my mind is how Dr. Joe Dispenza actually says that we have to kind of lessen, or in you know um, just pretty much saying it in my words, we have to lessen the noise that is coming from here, and we have to raise the noise that we are feeling, right? And of course they want to kind of differentiate the difference between our thoughts and our feelings by saying um, the brain and the heart, to pretty much distinguish the two. But it is very important to understand that sometimes when emotions come into the picture, emotions are obviously a lot more powerful than our thoughts, right? And a lot of times what ends up happening is, since we do live in a world that is very much dominated by analytics, by thoughts, and you know our brain power, essentially, a lot of times we end up pretty much sowing the seed of doubt in what we're actually feeling. And as a result, a lot of times when we do get places or areas where there have been cases of actual healing happening, people actually reversing diseases, or people pretty much you know getting a lot more out of their life than they actually expected, just because they decided to feel, we end up being the ones to pretty much shut it down almost in a 30 Rock style. Shut it down because we just analyze everything, we think about it. And and while it is very difficult for me to even stop my thought process from even going into the feeling stage, I do understand that that is one very big very big hurdle that I have to get over, that one very big hurdle that I have to somehow defeat, so that I can actually look at maybe these at the healing side of what my brain can do by shutting off sort of the analytical side. And it's just so happens that you really can't ask an engineer to like just shut off their analytical side, right? And that is the biggest problem with me, not even just now but pretty much throughout my life, right? I um, definitely am not as touchy-feely of a person that I might have been as a younger, as a child. And sometimes I have to actually think what could have been the possibility if I was a little more attuned to what I was feeling, um, so that sometimes so that I could actually be more effective in understanding that my feelings, that I could reprogram my entire mind by just feeling certain things. And this is, and while I say all of this, I do understand that this is actually coming from my thoughts. It's actually coming from the fact that I'm not feeling all of these things, because if I was feeling them, I would have been better, right? And because I'm thinking them, it's not happening like that. So that is one thing that I did want to share, and I did want your opinion as to, how is it, how can I um, really start feeling a little more than thinking, especially when it comes to doing certain things that can actually improve my lifestyle, could improve my livelihood, could improve how I live day to day. Because, while meditation while meditation actually showed tangible effects, I know at one point my brain got into this entire thing, my thoughts got into the entire thing, and that became the big wall that pretty much stopped me from progressing further. So yes, I would very much like to read your thoughts, your insights, your experiences, so that we could get a conversation started, and of course, understand what I can do so that I can improve my own thinking, but also allow my feelings, my emotions to sometimes overtake my thoughts, so that I can actually get on a journey that might take me to healing. So please do share whatever you can about this. And of course, with all of that said, this is Naren Zai with MS. I am Naren, and here is me wishing you a good night, sweet dreams, and I will catch you tomorrow. Bye.